Alright guys, so for my first video I'm going to paint a evergreen combat. It's a Flatside crankbait. I've got it primed white, and then I went back and put pearl white over the top and let it dry. So now what I'm going to do is run a texture line along the top of the back, and I'm going to bring it down towards the lateral line. Not a lot, but just something that gives some texture to it. We got black. Alright, so you got the texture, and then you can kind of see where the overspray fades it out. So we'll do this again on the other side. Okay. Alright, now what I'll do is run a solid line of black on the top. And then now I'm going to put a solid line of black over the midline and blend this in. I'm going to darken my eyes. Put a little bit of black on the gill plate. We're going to come back at the end and put a little color shift on that gill plate to make it really pop. Alright. Let's try to match it up on both sides. The back. Alright. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use this scale tip stencil. And there's a little bit of more detail there. I'm going to add a little bit of more modeling there towards the bottom of this. I'm really perfectionist, and I like for the looks a little bit better. Okay, so now we'll take that tip scale and we're going to put it on there, and what we're going to do is we're going to run scale tips all the way down the top of this thing. So I've got some silver flash color shift paint in my gun, and all I'm going to do is just lightly run a line of scale tips along that solid black. Alright, and we'll do it on the other side. Cool. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cover my scales up. I went too far on my gill plate, but that's alright. And then cover that up a little bit. And the back looks good. I'm going to use what's left in my gun here. Might have to put a little bit more and just clean that back up. It's got a little of that color shift overspray from that silver flash. I want this black back to be solid. Alright, that's cool. That'll work out good. Okay, so now I'm going to take that another stencil, and I've got some chartreuse color shift. And what I'm gonna do, I probably ought to heat set this to dry it off. Notice that scale is a little. Alright, so we'll do it that way. Okay, so what I'll do, I'm going to take this texture scale, it's a smaller texture, and I'm just going to barely cover this with some texture on that scale. Now you can see it pop. And towards the back I'll make it solid, and then we'll do it again over here. And then make it solid there. Okay, now what I'm going to do is this a chartreuse color shift. So on the black it's showing that color shift. So what I'm going to do now is spray some chartreuse down on the lower part of that gill plate. And it'll slowly come through. There we go. And we'll kind of blend it just a little bit right there. Alright. So next, what I'll do is I'll take that stencil and I'm gonna just give it some texture on the body, and you're not really even going to be able to see it until we put the UV on it. Okay. So now we just need some eyes. And the eyes, once you put those eyes in, man, it really makes that bait look like something. It doesn't really take life until it. And I push this in. I use these skewers. They're just cheap bamboo skewers. And I'll either use, for the eyes, I use the end of the flat end, or I cut the sharp end off of them. I use those things for quite a bit of stuff. Okay, all we need to do now is let that dry. So our bait's dried. I took the tape off the bill, and so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in my light box hanger and just coat this thing with UV. Now it don't take a lot, and I'm just going to lightly coat that thing where it's all good and wet. Now it'll self-level, but you don't want any dry spots, because if you have some dry spots, it leaves a hole there, and it's hard to fill it on your second coat sometimes, and it's really hard to make that up. You almost have to sand it down and get it even, or you get an uneven finish. So I've got this thing coated, and what I do, I just hold it here and let it level out. Just kind of look at it and see, I've got a dry spot at the very back. I don't know if you can see that. and then I'll make sure there's no, a lot of times you'll get a hair or piece of fiber, and it may be minuscule, very tiny, but boy, it sure looks like it's a mountain. So now we'll put this thing in the box, the light box, let it cure, and we'll come back and look at it, and then we'll put a water slide on the bottom there to mark my name. I've got a signature that I put on there, and I do that after the first coat, because if you don't do that, a lot of times it'll be discolored underneath that watermark when you put the UV on. So we'll put this in here. It'll take about 15-20 minutes. We'll cure it. So we got the lure out of the box after the first coat. It's cured. It's been about 20 minutes. You can kind of see the flash on it. You can see that color shift. I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera there or not. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put a water slide right here on the bottom. I like to put them right here. Just my personal preference. A lot of people put them on the top. But instead of actually signing the bait, I would really mess them up with my signature, I'll put it that way. I use these water slides, and I printed them out and got them prepped, cut them down to where they fit. And so what I do is I always have a piece of shop towel there. Put some water on there and let them soak. And then I take a little bit of dampness out of that and put on another rag. And a little towel, and just kind of dampen that bait. So it takes about, I don't know, 30-45 seconds for this thing to get ready to use. I'm gonna pull this thing off, and I don't know if I can let you see it or not, but all you have to do is barely slide it over, grab it with those tweezers, and put it on there. So now make sure this thing's damp still, and I take this damp towel and I just barely run over it, barely touch this thing, but it needs to be damp, or you'll grab it and it'll slide it around, it'll crinkle it, whatever. And I just work that out of it, the air out of it. So now what we'll do, I'll put it back in my hanger. And we're going to coat it with UV again. And I've got one more bait that I did. It's hard for me to do just one. So I'll go ahead and coat this one and get it in the box, and then put that water slide on my other bait and let these guys cure. And then we will show you the end result. But you can already tell that this color shift is really cool. It's popping the bait and making it iridescent around that gill plate especially. And alright, so we'll let this thing cure. We've got this thing out of the box. It's cured. It's been about 15-20 minutes, and you can see that color shift. You can kind of see it. I don't know if the camera picks it up well or not, but then you can see those scales and all that, the detail. It looks really good. I think this is a cool looking little lure. I also did another one while I was doing it. It's hard for me to do just one, but instead of the chartreuse, I put gold modeling on it, and it's very similar. I did put the chartreuse on the gill plate, and you can tell it doesn't have quite as much of the black, but I like them all to look a little bit different. Gives it a unique feel. So this is my first video. I appreciate you watching. hopefully I'll make some more. I do several other things as well, so some of my other projects and woodworking projects, etc. I want to try to do some videos with those, and hopefully we'll catch you. Give me a like and a follow, and we'll hopefully see you later.